Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Coffee, where in today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at some good news for the future of Star Wars. That's today here on Star Wars Coffee. I talked about bad news a couple of weeks ago, mainly the fact that all of these series continue to get pushed back in terms of filming dates, specifically Cassian Andor and the Kenobi series. We also got pushed back theatrical releases, so instead of getting one next year, we are now getting one in 2023, 2025, and 2027, all around Christmas time. So, on the good news for that, we are getting the Christmas releases back, which in terms of metrics, performed the best at the box office in comparison to Solo, which did not perform as well in a summer slot. But Rogue One, The Force Awakens, and The Rise of Skywalker, as well as The Last Jedi, all performed much better in that time of year, in the winter, when typically it's a tradition for a lot of families to go and take a look at the newest Star Wars film on Christmas and around that time. So some more good news is Disney is not going to be retconning the sequel trilogy, which means that they're not going to rip the continuity apart. So essentially what this means is they're not going to keep Star Wars moving past the end of The Rise of Skywalker, which you may think at this point is bad news, but let me explain why it's not. It's really good news, because if you go past the end of The Rise of Skywalker, it is no longer the Skywalker saga, and the whole story does not fill in the gaps within that time. It then becomes something else entirely. It would just be a bunch of stories and a collection of stories that does not have one overarching narrative that continues the progression of the overall story arc that George Lucas set up throughout 1 through 6, that Disney, in their own interesting way, wrapped up in 9. So that is actually pretty good news, because we're not going to wreck the entire continuity. And here's some more good news. This is why it's good in terms of continuity. Let me tell you about this. Dave Filoni and his role is continuing to increase and grow larger. You may have seen that video on the channel where I said Dave Filoni is up to something big, and boy is he. Dave Filoni's role continues to grow larger. He directed for the first time in The Mandalorian Season 1. He is still a writer. He made his cameo in The Mandalorian Season 1. And Dave Filoni is so good at writing and connecting all of these different mediums, which makes it much better for his role to continue to increase and grow larger and larger, and they're giving him much more projects to do. So no longer is he just a writer, he's now an executive producer, he's an actual director, he still continues to write, he has much more input in terms of the narrative and the story arc and the direction that Star Wars is going to be going. And everything he's touched has had massive success. So just recently, we had the Clone Wars Season 7, massively successful, the second highest viewed show, most in-demand show, only second to The Mandalorian, which he also had a hand in. Now we know that Dave Filoni is going to be involved in The Bad Batch, the series there. He's going to be in charge of that. He released a small statement about that you can check out on the Bad Batch series playlist on the channel. Dave Filoni we know he's working on some type of Rebel sequel, but we have no time as to when that can be expected to be released. And we have the fact that he's a continuity genius. Dave Filoni is so good at weaving in and out of all of these different narratives, tying them together just beautifully, specifically with the Ghost Crew appearing in The Rise of Skywalker, as well as Rogue One, as well as in Rebels. So he's already connected the animated medium to the live-action medium. He's done that several times. He's going to continue to do that in The Mandalorian Season 2 with Ahsoka appearing, along with Rex appearing and Boba Fett appearing. So now he's connecting the original trilogy to the new Disney era trilogy and just whole continuity in general. More good news is Solo is continuing via Disney+. So the Make Solo 2 Happen hashtag that's been promoted for the last couple of years has continued to gain headway in terms of what we can expect. We know that they're likely working on a Crimson Dawn series with Emilia Clarke and Darth Maul, hinging on Emilia Clarke coming back to Star Wars, as well as a Lando Calrissian involvement in some type of his own spin-off show, the Calrissian Chronicles perhaps, as well as Alden Ehrenreich willing to come back. We have the Cassian show with Diego Luna and Alan Tudyk coming back. We have the Kenobi series, where we know Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor going to be starring in that, fantastic stuff. If you're behind on any of this, all of those playlists are on the channels. You can catch up, binge all of the news. That way you can be up to date on all of that. And we have new series filling in the original trilogy and prequel trilogy gaps. And this is something that I'm addressing because I've been getting some complaints that enough of the original trilogy, we want more sequel trilogy stuff. I'm sure they're working on something like that, but however, right now they're just focusing on more of the written mediums in terms of comics and novels when it comes to the sequel trilogy era. So they're continuing to fill in the most loved part of Star Wars for most fans, which is the original trilogy era, which makes sense given the fact that those 3 films came first, 4, 5, and 6. So the fact that they're kind of hinging and connecting brilliantly, Dave Filoni, connecting in between 3 and 4, the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy, with Ewan McGregor, one of the most beloved characters, along with Anakin, one of the most beloved characters / Darth Vader, with bringing Hayden Christensen in, connecting the prequel trilogy to the original trilogy, now to the Disney trilogy, is just brilliant. So while we may not have all of these good news in terms of how recently they're going to be approaching us and how quickly they're going to be coming to us, there is a lot in the works, and I think that we should take a minute and appreciate how much stuff we have in the works that's going to be looking forward to in the future of Star Wars. I'm personally looking forward to a lot of this. Anything Dave Filoni is going to be doing, I'm willing to watch, willing to read, anything about that. Let me know what you guys think about all of this news down in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching, may God bless you, and the Force be with you always. If you enjoyed this episode, and frankly, even if you didn't, don't forget to subscribe.
Do it.
And if you want to help spread the word, please give this video a thumbs up and tell your friends to subscribe. Please check out the official Star Wars Coffee merchandise, and don't forget to check out all of the content playlists on this channel, including The Rise of Skywalker, The Mandalorian, and much more.